This is Computer Science Discoveries, and we are working our way through Unit 3, and today it's Lesson 4, Shapes and Randomization. So let's take a look as we work our way through these levels. You've done a little bit of work now with drawing and placing things on the grid, and let's see what we are going to encounter this time. Level number 1, you're going to learn about what parameters are, okay? And we're going to now add a little bit onto the ellipse and the rectangle commands here. And you're going to see more than just position for X and Y. So let's get rolling. Level number 2, all right? Make sure that you are always reading through the instructions up here. Run, and it says these rectangle blocks have 2 more parameters that you can use to control the size. Notice that the no stroke command is this block turns off the border for the shapes. So there's no more outline on here, okay? And you're going to notice you have more things in your toolbar. This gray thing is a comment that you can throw in there and add comments that don't show up, but might help instruct other people that look at your code. Try to figure out how the last 2 inputs in rectangle work. Now I'm looking here, W and H. Okay, we have a blue one, we have a red one. Change the numbers in the second rectangle to make the red rectangle longer than the blue one. So as I'm looking here, I'm going to turn the grid on. Okay, this might help you a little bit. Okay, 100 and 200 for the blue, knowing that each of these blocks basically represents 50. And as I look here, let's play around a little bit. If I change this to 200, what happens? Whoa! All right, so that's not matching the picture. So let's play around a little bit. Let's get this back to normal the way it was. And let's change this one. Oh, not 2000. Good gravy. Ooh, now they're equal. So do you see what's happening here with this? What we call this last parameter. Make that last rectangle longer, however you wish. All right, when you've got that one figured out, move on. All right, in level number 3, this is the shape you want to make. They say write code that makes an orange ellipse behind the green one. Don't worry about the exact size as long as the green ellipse is entirely inside the orange one. Okay, so when you run it, this is all we see. So clearly we've got to add an ellipse, but we want to make it orange, okay? Since they don't have that in there, you start to notice that you have some freedom here. Just because it doesn't show up in the drop-down menu. Oh my Lord, what happened here? Okay, so first of all, I added an ellipse, and all of a sudden I get this huge green blob that I don't want. Let's try doing this. Remember that your fill will fill everything after it. So if you have fill at the end, it's not going to show up as anything. Aha! So now I have a gigantic circle. Okay. This looks kind of oval shaped. And when I look at this ellipse command, I see W and H. Guess what that stands for? Perhaps a width and a height. Notice if you highlight over here, you can click out and it will give you some instruction here specifically about the syntax. If you look here, W in fact is the horizontal width and H is the vertical height. So your assumptions, if you're making it, were right. Since this one looks a little more oval shape, the width is 400. That's the whole length of the screen. So what if I change that to say 200? And let's reset and see what happens. Okay, now it looks like that, but I don't see my green one at all. So remember that we draw in layers. So let's take the green ellipse. Now, It said it wants it entirely on the inside. So you can either shrink your green one a little bit, or I can increase the width of my orange one just a tad. And that should, oh, that didn't work. Oh, that's because that's the green one. Yep, that won't work. Let's go up here and change my orange one. Flip-flop them. There we go. Perfect. Play around a little bit with that one. All right, in level number 4, it says sometimes you want to fill the entire screen. Okay, now you're going to see background on here. So it covers everything on the screen with the color that you're going to choose. So we ran the code, changed the background color from yellow right here. Let's change that to orange. Okay, reset, go. Hey, super challenge. There is a purple square that is covered up by the background. In fact, I see fill purple and a rectangle. And then I have my background, and then I see fill with blue, another rectangle. How can you make that purple one appear? See if you can figure that one out. I'm not going to do it for you. Bubble number 5, here we go. Ooh, look at this one. Background draws on top of everything in your drawing. So it's important that you always consider the order of your code. Right now, you have this green bubble. If you want a background color, you can drag it on over here. Right now, the background just defaults to white. So if we want to make it black, I can program that in there. But see what happens? Draw your background first to make sure that you've got that layered. If you think of it like painting a canvas, I think that helps the most. Bubble number 6. Oh, look at this. It's using 4 parameter version of rectangle and ellipse. And what they mean by that is you have the first parameter is the X position. The next one is the Y position, then you have the width, and then you have the height. Turn on your grid so you can see 0 to 400 going horizontally, 0 to 400 vertically, and then see what you have here. Notice when you run this, this is what we've got. We have a background of sky blue. Hey, do you notice there's comments here? Draw the sky. Then they say draw the sun. The sun is yellow. Happens to be an ellipse. The X position is 350. That is why we're to the right all the way over here. 50 for the Y position means I'm just one so-called block down, or 50 pixels down. And then 50 is your horizontal diameter, and 50, the second number, is the vertical diameter. In fact, if I change this to be 100 and 100, what do you think would happen? Ah, my sun gets big. But for now, I'm just going to leave this the way they had it set up. They want you to debug this program so that the grass extends across the entire bottom of the screen. Notice the positioning. That rectangle always anchors by the upper left corner. So when they say the X position is 0, that means it's starting here. And then the Y position is at 300. See when I've got my cursor right there? I can't quite get it at 0. But right now on the screen it says 1 and 300. So that's the starting point. And right now I am 200 is my horizontal width, and 100 pixels is my vertical width. It looks like that vertical thing stayed the same, so extend this 200 to be a larger number. Okay, if I go 300, hit reset and go, you'll see I'm getting there. You continue on with that parameter for the width. All right, cruising right along. Awesome sauce. Now notice the grass is working now. Frankly, it's going to bring forward, or it's got set up here what we have. And it says, let's add a cloud to the sky. Unfortunately, this cloud looks a little funny. Looks like it might be forming a storm cloud like a tornado. We don't want that. Debug this program to make the cloud wider than it is tall, like it is in this image. Here's your hint. You'll need to change two parameters. Which ones will set the cloud's width and height? Here we go. So come on down here. I like the comments that kind of help you, especially if you didn't write the code yourself and you're having someone else look at it. It tells you, draw the sky, draw the sun, draw the grass, draw this cloud. Go ahead. You play around with that. I'm going to make sure I get mine set up. You notice if I do this, it's just a big old ball in the sky, so that looks a little awkward. And there you go. All right, level number 8 is talking now more about parameters. You've seen how width and height are working, okay? And the ellipse has the same thing. I want to remind you that you always have options on some of those to click out and get more information. W3 Schools is a great resource as well. All right, we're finishing out in this lesson and we're starting on bubble number 9. Now all of a sudden, holy cow, what's happening in the toolbox? Random number chooses a random number between a minimum and a maximum value. You can use this code instead of writing in a specific number. If you make your drawings with random numbers, it will look a little bit different every time you run your program. So let's take a look at this one. Notice I've got a background called tomato. I've filled an orange ellipse, and notice that this first two numbers, which are the X position and the Y position, they've said, or I should say the X position here, they said it's a random number between 0 and 400. The Y position is 200. My width is 50 pixels. My height is 50 pixels. Okay, so this is what it looks like right now. But if I keep running it, notice my X position is going to vary or bop around anywhere from 0 to 400. So if I do this in quick succession, you'll see that it appears that this little dot is moving back and forth horizontally across the screen. Notice what it's asking us to do now. Change the numbers inside random number and run the code again a few times to see what changes. So for example, if instead of 0 to 400, what if I just changed it to be 0 to 150? See what happens. That random number is only set for my X position. And instead of going from 0 to 400 all the way across horizontally the whole screen, I've shrunk it to only be occurring between 0 and 150. Interesting. When you move on to level number 10, now we are going to start using random number. Will you notice here that now not just drawing in your toolbox with these sets of commands, but you also have a math command with random number. And if you hover on it, it will tell you its purpose or what it does and what each of these particular openings or numbers represent. You can always click out as well to look at other examples. Let's see what's happening here. Here's the same sun from last time. Right now, only the X coordinate is random, but you can make the Y coordinate random too. Use random number for the ellipse's Y parameter. Now, right now, all of this blob is just the X parameter. Where the 200 is, that's your Y parameter. They want us to put a random number in where the Y parameter is. Now, that didn't work. This gets a little touchy, and so if you don't have a mouse, you're going to have to be a little more careful. So notice if I come in from the right and it'll start to highlight things in yellow, then it'll slide in there, okay? And now is where it might be handy to sometimes collapse your toolbox depending on how big your particular screen is on the thing that you're working for. Okay, Let's use some numbers. Now they use 0 and 400. So frankly, I think I'm just going to copy that and see what happens. Let's run it. So now this time you're going to see that this moves all over the place, not just in the X position, but also the Y position. And once we get into more animation and start doing this in an automatic loop, then it will look like it's moving. Cool. It says as long as your circle is appearing at random in X and Y positions, go ahead and move on. Are you getting annoyed with that little da da da? All right, here's the coolest. So this program right now is called the Rainbow Snake. All right. You want this to appear differently every single time. So it says, let's run this several times to see how the code they have in here is working so far. And if you run it quickly, it looks almost like it's moving. So you notice that each one of these circles, so you have a red circle, okay? The background is blue, red circle. It's at an X position that's fixed at 100. In fact, if I turn the grid on, you can see the X position is at 100, but this second parameter, which is the vertical position, the Y position, is bopping around between 190 and 210. And if you keep doing that, you'll see that happen. Look at the orange circle. That has the same thing. Notice the X position is at 140, so it's a little shifted further to the right, but the random number or the Y position is varying, and there's yellow. What it wants you to do is it says add at least 3 new different colored circles to your rainbow snake. Use the random number command. You're going to find that in the math toolbox here, and you'll have to format it just like you see these. And then make the rest of the body snake move up and down like this. So you see in the example, there are 3 more that they've added. You can definitely go wild and use colors besides green, blue, and purple. And make sure you have that random number command in the Y parameter so that you can see how it moves. All right. Show me when you're done, because this is another one of these checkboxes, as was level 7, where you were making sure you got your grass to extend all the way across the sky. Excellent work. Good luck, and may the force be with you.